What is going on, Vikings fans? Welcome back to another Purple and Gold's bar shows. Getting an earlier start today since I was able to get done work a little sooner than normal. Just give me one moment. I'm just grabbing some pictures. We'll give some time for people to make their way in, and then we're gonna start this live where we're talking about the Bengals versus Vikings. And I know I said yesterday that there's probably not a lot of stuff that we can gather off a blowout win like that. But then I watched the game again, and then I started seeing things that I think we should be aware of and be, maybe give you guys a little bit of perspective and seeing how this team is actually developing, right? So I am in the midst of, just give me one sec. I got to get, I am getting these slides ready and uploaded onto StreamYard, so we have something while I'm making all my points, because this, I did take notes. Once I started the game, and once I started noticing there was a lot of stuff that was good stuff to talk about, I realized, you know what? I should probably start writing some stuff down. So I did write some stuff down, and now I'm just looking for some pictures and slides I'm creating right now in order to get us something to look at while we're going. You know what I mean? Welcome to all of you guys that have joined me so far this morning. Let's see here. I don't guess we can just. I know what image I'll put up here. Image, where is it? I'll just use that thumbnail as. There we go. Let's remove that. What is up? Let me go to here so you guys don't see me throwing up all these pictures. Who was probably the best pass rusher? Let's see here. This is a nice picture here. We'll use that one because my boy showed out. He man, freaking a lot of people have been waiting for Dallas Turner to show up and do something, and I think he proved that he is on his way to becoming that guy that we think he can be. So I am excited to see what this guy does throughout the season. So we got that one done. And I don't think we'll need some pictures just for the first one. So now let's go back to StreamYard. Well, I should probably put that here. So that way I'm like at least looking forward. Oh my. Good man, my wings are growing. I'm gonna go get a haircut today. Jeez Louise. I'm gonna go down on the barber, get them to do my beard and everything too again. Let's see here. Oh, my lights. 1 second. Alexa, turn off all the lights.
Okay.
All right. Hopefully the backdrop isn't too filled with. Hopefully we don't have too many glares going on in the back. Oh man. I need to get my overhead light in. What the heck? Where'd I put it? Oh, it's still in my bag from. It's still in my bag from the trip. There we go. Gotta put this up here. There she be. Hopefully that'll diffuse a little bit and get some of this white balance out of here, or either way. We are Looking much better. All right, all right, all right. Now let's add all the remaining pictures that I added. Wait, who do I have so far? I got okay. Ooh, I need to move this there in a second here, but oh, I need to add Mr. Price, and I need to add Mr. Turner here. All right. All right. All right, guys. Thank you for having a little patience with me this morning as I get set up. Now, let's do a little bit of welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Purple and Gold Bars channel. I am your host, Supreme Overlord, aka Mr. AI Man 3000, aka Purple and Gold Bars. I am him just for you. Oh man, that line always makes me laugh. But anyways, your number one spot for color commentary, outside of the box thinking, and hype, getting you guys hopefully feeling good about this team and giving you some different insights to help better maybe deal with all the frustrations and stuff that may arise by this roller coaster season that we're having. Now, let's get right into it, guys. We're going to talk about the Bengals versus Vikings. And first, I want to talk. We're going to go right into it. Let's break down because, like I said, I rewatched the game in its entirety. And this time I was watching to see what I could learn instead of just watching it as a fan and looking at the key matchups that I had kept in mind going into that game. So, I want to start by talking about what the Vikings did well. First and foremost, the turnover battle. The margin of error was so small because we were sitting in the backup goal. Let's be real. When backups in a whole bunch of different positions, the margin of error is going to be extremely small. So it can be one turnover, it could be two, whatever it is. Sometimes just one bad thing can really flip the tides or really cost the team a game, right? Especially when everything has to go right. So the turnover margin, the turnover battle, of course, we're going to lead with that because it was so huge. Isaiah Rodgers had a historic day, the first player to ever hit 99.9 as a PFF grade. So incredible things when it comes to that. But in general, let's look at what we were able to accomplish, right? We were able to accomplish 5 turnovers. That includes interceptions and fumbles. And as a result, we were able to convert them into 31 points. Especially remarkable because, like I said, that first punch out, like it almost looks like if you watch it in real time in the highlight, it almost looks like it's a glitch in the matrix. Let's be real, because it was such a perfect play. That peanut punch and that ball literally fell right underneath him. And in the replay, as hard as I watch, even at the highest quality videos that I've been able to find, it's so hard to see that ball. And then when he pops up and starts running, you know what I mean? Like, it was incredible to see the effort put out by this defensive team. Now, going into this game, I had speculated that this is a great opportunity for our young guys that are getting an opportunity, backups that have been, wishing and hoping for a moment to show that they belong in this league. This is a great game for them to break out. I was expecting more of like somebody else, but you know what? I'm extremely happy that Isaiah Rodgers was able to break out this game and let everybody know that he's here. He is a great cornerback, and I'm not expecting him to have that kind of productivity every week. But I am confident in his play. I'm in awe with the ability that Brian Flores has to take the crappy Ed Donatel team that we had, projected to be, 28th, 29th, 30th in the league that year in defense, and bumping us up to like 17, 16, 50, somewhere around there, right? So like pretty massive jump. His ability to identify players that work well in his system is incredible to me. I wish I had the football IQ or that eye that Brian Flores has, because I do find myself being lost sometimes when I'm watching the defense. I have to rewatch a play multiple times to see what's going on. And that's a testament to the creativity and the ingenious mind of Brian Flores. And as a result of his preparation, we were able to dominate the turnover battle, and which was massive, because going forward, that has to be something that we are extremely cognizant of as a team, and aware that is a massive factor every single game, because we do have a rookie quarterback. We are only going to see some flashes. We're going to see a lot of growing pains, as we've already seen. Now, with that being said, sometimes having won the turnover battle where we don't give any up and even just squeak one out might be the reason why we steal some games during this evolution or growth period for JJ McCarthy. So I am extremely ecstatic at how these Vikings were able to perform, as well as stay on the right side of the turnover battle. We'll leave it like that. Now, another thing another factor that I wrote down was like the ability to focus and control the turnovers in this game really really shifted momentum at times. It really demoralized the Bengals. And on top of that, it relieved a lot of pressure from the offense. So great things to see from this young defense, this incredible defensive coordinator that we have. So I'm extremely proud of what we were able to do in the turnover battle, because like I said, I think may have been, was it my first number one key situation or key area that could make a difference in this game? It might have been going into the game. I think it was the turnover battle might have been the one area that I said that was going to be the most important. So again, after I watched the game, I realized that we did such a great job of always looking to, strip the ball, or being mindful of those opportunities to punch a ball out or to create a turnover, right? So whatever Brian Flores' philosophy is, or whatever he has them looking and focused on, it's working. So I'm extremely happy so far after 3 weeks on what's going on the defense. I have been it's no secret that I have been worried about how Brian Flores was going to adjust in the second half compared to what happened last year. But as of right now, I'm extremely ecstatic. The performance that we were able to put defensively all 4 quarters really helps soothe some of those worries and frustrations. Next, I want to move on to the running game. Now, it's no, I don't want to say. I think it has been a top of the mind issue for Minnesota Vikings fans, pundits, etc., how our running game has looked after the first 2 weeks, right? Basically non-existent until the fourth quarter against the Bears. And then last week against the Falcons, whether that be because of our injuries on the O-line or the inability to, feed the hot hand and find our identity in the running game. The, that seemed to go away this week. So now, is that a factor of maybe it's a blessing in disguise because Aaron Jones is on IR right now, so KOC is forced to give Jordan Mason the bulk of the loads and be the primary back? Like, I totally understand it. Like, Kevin O'Connell is trying to be as fair as he can and trying to maximize his output from every single player, which is why we have seen one drive by Aaron Jones and then another one by Jordan Mason, and then back and forth, because of the utmost respect that KOC has for both players. But I think in hindsight, it's definitely obvious that Jordan Mason is the lifeblood of this stable, and he is going to be a massive factor in our success going forward. Throughout the rest of the year, whoever our quarterback is, whenever JJ comes back, of course, because it's no secret. Everybody, it's a common cliche statement that a a young rookie quarterback's best friend is his running back and his O-line, right? So it was great to see that our running game was able to solidify itself with a little bit of an identity. And it's clear to me that Jordan Mason is the guy. As soon as we as soon as we traded for him, in my head, I was like, thank goodness we're going to go back to at least being able to run the ball at will. That boy can fall down for 4, 5, 6 yards sometimes. And it's a wonderful thing to see, because if he can do that consistently, that means that we're going to have a lot of short third downs, opening up all the possibilities in the scheme for KOC and JJ McCarthy to succeed, right? So Jordan Mason ran for 116 yards on 16 carries and scored 2 rushing touchdowns, and I'm pretty sure that solidified that consensus that he is the number one guy. And I don't think Aaron Jones is a scrub by any means. I really enjoy Aaron Jones. I love his personality. I love the way that he plays. I love how he's a Swiss Army knife out there and he can do a lot of things. But when it comes to the style of running back and needing a dominant, bully running back, Jordan Mason's the guy, and I think we need to lead on him going forward, right? So when your run game is efficient like that, it really relieves the pressure. It opens up more defensive opportunities for the defense to come up with turnovers or stops, right? And at that point, the more it's a game of numbers, right? The more chances that our team has overall, the more chances that we have to put points on the board. And we were banging on all cylinders last week, and I think a big factor for that was the running game. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Carson Wentz. One, I talked about it yesterday, how it was so great to see him out there living out his childhood dreams. I wish I could have felt even 10% of that joy, because I can only imagine, right? I didn't grow up a Vikings fan. I actually found football later in life. I actually used to think it was dumb that people would like voluntarily hit themselves and whatnot. I didn't take the time to learn. And despite my high school actually winning our like provincials and stuff like that, we had a pretty strong football team. And I just never liked it. And I just stuck to my soccer, my volleyball and basketball. And even they even asked me to try out one year because I was pretty good at soccer and then pretty fast. So I don't know what they wanted me to do, but I just never love football like that. But I did love hockey and I did love basketball like that as a child. And I could only imagine what it would be like to take the floor at Air Canada Center in a Toronto Raptors jersey. Or at the time, I've totally fallen out of love with hockey, and it is fully because of the Toronto Maple Leafs. But as a young boy, I used to never miss any Maple Leafs games. And to think what it would have been like to take the ice in a Leaf jersey, if I had still had that passion for the team as an adult or a teen, it would have, I don't know, I can't even describe what it meant. So it was incredible to see Carson Wentz out there experiencing that, but it was even more incredible to see how um poised and deliberate Carson Wentz looked like. Those are the 2 words that I wrote down here in my notes: poised and deliberate. Even though he took a couple bad sacks here and there, what people would say bad sacks, but they were on third down or third down, third and long, something like that. So throwing the ball away wouldn't have really made a big difference, right? So, and sometimes getting a little bit further back allows more freedom for our punter. But regardless to say, he looked confident. It was awesome to see KOC dial it back and build a game plan for our backup and have him do as well as he did. I know his numbers weren't, you know, earth shattering. We didn't see no 500 yards, 6 touchdowns, you know what I mean? But the one thing that I will say though, we didn't see that Carson Wentz that likes to force things like the criticism has been about him, right? So it's nice to see that KOC was able to reel him in and get him focused. And I think that maturity level and that experience that Carson Wentz has in the league totally played a factor here for him to kind of rein his kind of intuitions or that 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 way of playing that people criticize him and just follow the game plan. You know, he went for 179 yards on like 18 of 24. Oh man, I can't even remember. It was like 15 or it was like 15 of like out of 20 passes for like 176 yards or something like that. Nothing crazy. Um, but he had 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, and you know, there's a lot of pressure on top of, even though, you know, I'm saying it's really nice for him to have been living out that childhood dream. For others, having all your family there, being in that situation where like, oh my God, I'm actually living out my dream. A lot of people crumble under that pressure. And Carson Wentz looked poised. It was just awesome to see Carson Wentz, especially how much he's been dogged. He, you know, he is what he is. Okay, um he's serviceable, and I'm happy to have him on the team. Now, the biggest factor that I noticed with him is that yes, he did everything. He didn't do everything like you know, like a superstar and like that, but the biggest positive from that is he avoided making the drastic mistakes. You know, there were times where you could see that he may have wanted to throw the ball. Like there was that one play where he rolled out a little bit and then he went to he went to go throw a ball, and then he stopped himself and then he turned to try to run away, and then he got surrounded and he took the sack, right? I feel like Carson Wentz of old might have tried to like jump throw that or just force it, but he made the right decision. And I think that that's a testament to his maturity as well as the coaching from KOC. So big, big ups to Mr. Carson Wentz in another area that we did well this week. Now, let's move on. I want to move on to the next. Oh no, that's not the one. Sorry. This one we want to. The next thing I want to talk about is the special teams and just like the big plays that they came up with, right? We first and foremost, let's talk about it. Will the Thrill, 62-yard field goal made, new franchise record. It's so nice to finally not have to worry about the kicker position. As a Vikings fan, I know the history, and I know I didn't experience some of those missed field goals like some of our other older fans did, but I can still relate. I can still feel the pain when I see the faces of fans in the stands when they replay those things, or when I watch documentaries or stuff about our Minnesota Vikings, how it's hurt the fan base. So I'm not blind to that, and I'm not insensitive to that fact, but it is sure nice, especially for those fans, to have a little bit of confidence, or maybe at the very least just be calm and peaceful about our kicking situation. So beautiful to see. On top of that, let's give it up to Mr. Miles Price, guys. You know, I am really starting to I'm really starting to enjoy how this man returns balls. He he's got great vision. He's done a great job of giving us great field position. I know some people be like, yeah, but you know what? There was that one play that he shouldn't have taken out of the end zone. He ended up getting like 17, getting this to the 17. And it's like, yeah, but that's the way that the punt returners and the kick returners game goes, right? There's going to be times where you bust one out for a touchdown, and there's going to be some that you're going to get, just clapped right at the 10-yard line or something like that, right? It happens. It's part of the game. But overall, I've seen a lot of great things out of Mr. Miles Price in coming from a season where we had basically cut ties from previous stalwart or kind of like fan favorite kick returners to this year be starting fresh with a new face. I'm extremely ecstatic to see what's going on. Big ups to the special teams because they played a massive factor in making sure that they could relieve as much pressure off the offense, which are big signs for me because if the team can continue to do things like that, that just means that we have the ability to create the best situation for JJ McCarthy to learn in, right? If the special teams is constantly giving him great field position, if the defense is always coming up with stops and giving him more and more drives to practice and work on, that means more chances for growth and opportunities for him to learn, which is incredible. And then if we look at how KOC was able to call that play, and maybe it gives me confidence that as he feels confident and more confident in JJ's ability, that we're going to start seeing more game plans built that way, which gives me a lot of hope going forward. So big ups to the special teams, big ups to our special teams coordinator. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I'm thoroughly impressed with everything you guys have done so far. We've seen blocked punts, we've seen massive field goals, we've seen great returns, and I don't doubt that we're going to see at least one or two kick returns for touchdowns, maybe even a punt return in there too, right? Mr. Price is dynamic. This is why I respect him, and I will call him Mr. Price going forward because he has earned that from me, and I think that he is a valuable asset to us going forward. On top of that, he's so young. Come on, boys. Let's give us a skull in the chat because he is freaking awesome, guys. Now, let's move on. I want to talk about the next thing that the next note that I took when I rewatched this game was overcoming adversity / injuries. And I just circled it and put a bunch of lines on it just to emphasize that how impressive it was for this O-line to bounce back after such a horrendous game against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I do understand that we had a concussion from our center as well as our left tackle go out on concussion as well. So that plays a massive factor when you got a backup center as well as a third string tackle in there. So I understand why they've been struggling, but having Christian Darrisaw out this week, I don't know if it was a thing of confidence from the rest of the O-line, which allowed them to play at a different level because they weren't like second guessing what was going on over there or thinking that they have to constantly be, adding help on that side. Whatever it was, whether that was that or just the confidence knowing that the best left tackle in the game is on your side right now, whatever it was great to see this O-line really come together. Christian Darrisaw, he definitely erases or really hides a lot of things and really makes things happen, right? So I'm so pumped to have Christian Darrisaw back. I'm extremely ecstatic by our coaching staff that late in the game they pulled him to make sure he was safe. Unlike last year when he got injured on how many seconds left in that half? Oh, I'm not even going to go into it that crazy because it's an error that we made, and I feel like we're starting to we've learned from it. And yesterday I saw that we did that. Now, again, overcoming injuries, we had multiple starters out, right? The play from Carson Wentz, the play from who was our center? Oh my god, I'm blanking. Who was our oh my goodness. Either way, right? Like the way Mason stepped up, the way Carson Wentz, how Andrew Van Ginkel came back and were active, right? How our players, Redmond, he was a beast out there. Like so many of our depth players really showed up last week and let the world know that we are deep, and this roster is definitely, in my opinion, the best roster in the NFC and arguably the best roster in the entire NFL. And I think we showed that yesterday because of what we were able to do with only one or two of our starters back, or three of our starters back out of the 11 that we're missing right now. So an incredible job by the players that were there, and incredible job at overcoming this adversity and injuries. Big ups to you, Minnesota Vikings. Awesome job. And you know what? Let's talk a moment. Let's talk about Mr. Harrison Smith, okay? I know I talked in the winners and losers yesterday. I really gave him a lot of credit because I feel like his leadership and guidance on the field is invaluable. He's a Hall of Fame safety, first ballot in my opinion. He is that good. To have a Hall of Fame player playing at a high level still on your team is something that teams dream they could have, right? And we got it in him. The ability for him to step in the way of that pass after Dallas Turner created that pressure, right, and get a hand on it, and to allow for Mr. Rogers to take that back for a pick six, right? That moment where he noticed that Ivan Pace was lined up wrong and he threw him to the side. He's like, no, you go there. And whatever he said in the moment dialed Ivan Pace Jr. in, and he had one of his best games of the season after being dogged by so many of our fans and people starting to lose faith in him. But I refuse to lose faith in this team for any reason. I'm going to make those judgments and really make those assessments to see if I should start dialing it back on anybody until the very end of the year. The sample size is incredibly small, guys. To make decisions based on what's going on right now is a fool's errand. Imagine you step outside and you have 7 different paths in front of you, not knowing which is going to lead you to death or to injury or to salvation or wealth or whatever you want to put there, right? All the paths in front of you look plausible. But as you walk down further, you can start seeing which path is the right path for you, which is a little bit of an analogy to say that when the sample size is too small, the results that you get from data mining a small sample size give you such a skewed picture that it does not encompass reality. You really need a large sample size in order to really data mine and draw valuable and effective conclusions, right? So just like you wouldn't just uh you know go without taking a little bit of time and assessing your situation before you make a good decision. The same should be said when we're looking at such as just a 3-week performance from this team, right? So big ups to every single player that stepped up and or came back from injury, right? Harrison Smith, your leadership on the field, Blake Cashman's leadership on the field is so incredibly valuable. And I think it's an understatement to say that you guys are the soul of this defense, are the brains of this defense, and what makes this defense come alive the way Brian Flores wants it to. So big ups to you guys, big ups to all the players that showed up and showed out, especially you, Mr. Rogers. Ooh, man, what a performance. You are here, good sir. Wild. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is where is here we go. The next thing I want to talk about is the defensive pressure that we were able to do and the ability to contain and keep everything in the pocket. You know what I mean? We didn't see Jake Browning roll out and kind of bail himself out with a scramble play like that. He was very much put in a blender and kept exactly in there while we executed at the highest level, right? The pass rush got home. Jonathan Grenard was constantly in the backfield. Van Ginkel also as well. Everybody, Dallas Turner was creating pressures. Redmond was creating pressures. Before Jonathan Allen, he was being before no Jonathan Allen, was it Jonathan Allen or Hargrave that went down with the injury? One of the two. Either way, before they went out, they were being a menace in the trenches there. So it was beautiful to see that our defensive pressure was stout. It was not fleeting and disappearing at times. Even when we drop back, our four-man rush always gave them a hard time, which was incredible to see. I think it's a testament to all the acquisitions that we had over the offseason and how Brian Flores um, coaches this team, his scheme, how it works. Uh, I'm in awe. Thank you so much for a great defensive performance, guys. Great, tremendous job rushing the passer yesterday. And then on top of that, we did a great job at again limiting the running game. In week one, we did a great job. I think we held Swift to like 58 yards rushing, if I remember, and they kind of abandoned the run. And then last week, Zach Brown, either way, Zach Moss, the running back from the Bengals, only ended up having like 53 yards or like 50 yards or something like that. 52, 50. Man, my brain. There's just so much in my brain. But anyways, we held them to well below 100 yards. And it was an incredibly solid performance. I think Ivan Pace kind of reminded people how good of a run stopper he was. And with the guidance of our leaders on the field, he was banging on all cylinders. So big ups to the defensive pressure and our run stop game. So awesome job from our Minnesota Vikings. Let me find something else to put on here before we transitions into the things that I think that I wrote down. I wrote down a few things for things that we need for improvement. You know what? I'm just gonna put even though I'm not going to be dogging Christian Darrisaw or Jordan Mason. These two guys are two of my favorite Vikings right now, and have been like Darrisaw has been for a while, and I was instantly a massive Jordan Mason fan as soon as we traded for him. So we're going to keep him up there. But let's move into the things that I wrote down that I think that we need to work on an improvement, right? So now I'm not sure if it was a thing of Carson Wentz missing the pre-snap like pass protection and calling the proper stuff out. But we did have some early problems with pressure. So I'm not sure if that was maybe like our O-line kind of getting into the swing, kind of shaking off that rust a little bit. The offensive line did give up some sacks yesterday. So, but it is to be expected with the injuries that we have. But overall, it was a big success when it comes to the offensive line. Like I said, Christian Darrisaw at the very beginning, maybe there was a little bit of rust there, but as the game came on, he just became stronger and stronger and stronger. But that doesn't keep me from worrying about the offensive line and maybe the pass protection, whether that comes from the running back or the fullback when CJ Ham is back, whoever is back there to pick up that blitz pickup or chip on the way out. Or if it was due to Carson Wentz missing that and for not calling the right protections. Either way, there's some room for improvement, which is expected. So I did write that down. One area I did find myself really struggling at points because I kept just like falling back into like diehard fan mode and just loving what I was watching, that I had to like rewatch a couple plays to kind of go back. Oh, wait. No, I'm trying to look for things to work on here. Come on, Supreme, get your head on, right? But that was definitely one thing. Another thing that I noticed too, third down efficiency. We did struggle a little bit in the first half, and I think we only had like maybe three first downs in the first half. Like we did struggle a little bit, and it's okay. Carson Wentz may have been a little bit rusty, maybe he was a little bit timid, gunshot, whatever it is. That's the kind of things to expect when we have the backup bowl going, and we have so many injured players. But at the same time, we don't want to disregard it and just kind of wave it away into the ether and say, it's just because our starters weren't out there, and just assume that the third down efficiency is just going to improve once everything is back up to speed, right? It's something that I think overall in general, since last year, our third down efficiency is something that we still need to work on, but it is a thing that it takes time for teams that are learning to become a playoff team, and once they become a playoff team like we are, learning to become a consistent uh a team that consistently wins in the playoffs. One of those areas that needs to be third down efficiency, because in the playoffs it gets a lot harder. The play that we see is just a lot more aggressive. Some of the stops are definitely pulled out when it comes to what the offensive coordinator on the other side, or defensive coordinator on the other side, is calling. They're trying not to leave anything on the table, which is totally understandable. So it's important for us to really start honing in on that as we start progressing into more of a playoff threat than just a team that can regularly make the playoffs, right? So third down efficiency is something that I'm hoping that over time we continue to improve. The next thing that I want to talk about, um, and I think it was because I was this is the point. I guess it kind of ties back to the point that I was making, is sometimes it's very difficult to gain a lot of substance from games like this where certain situations seem fluky, the other team didn't show up, and you can't really bank on a lot of that stuff happening. So one thing that I did write down was maybe an over reliance on the defense to come up with stops, to come up with turnovers. Because if we start getting into that situation, that means that the offense is struggling regularly. And if we start as a fan base or as a team starting to rely on the defensive schemes to get us out of trouble all the time, that is definitely a recipe for success. So I don't know if it's a true like kind of things that we need to improve. It probably is, but like I feel like maybe that's a little bit more of a byproduct of, you know, the shock and awe of how many defensive stops and then scores that we had yesterday. And kind of my inner, devil's advocate is saying, don't, it's not going to happen every game. Like, don't get used to this, right? Because for it's true, right? So I can't expect every single game for us to come out and trounce the team and force fumbles or picks early and have them just like completely out of rhythm and basically just trying to fight their way back in the game. um it's not sustainable, it's not feasible, and it's not a rational strategy to be used to try to grow as a team, right? So I'm hoping that uh, what we do gather from this is that the importance of us believing in our defensive abilities and sticking to the game plan, because whether we come up with a ton of defensive scores or whatever it is, or turnovers, the ability to play the scheme to its best is more important, and those things are just going to be the cherry on top, the gravy, right? The things that it'll be nice when we get them, but it's not going to be the thing that we told like 1,000% depend on. So I'm hoping that we don't develop an over reliance or a dependency on defensive turnovers or scores, right? So that for sure. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is discipline, because we did suffer multiple false starts throughout the game. We had some blocking penalties, and these are the kind of mistakes that should be a good, well-oiled playoff uh playoff challenging, not like just a team that makes the playoffs regular, a team that's actually pushing to try to make gains in the playoffs. You can't be giving up bad penalties, the procedural stuff, false starts. The other team doesn't force you to have a false start. The other team doesn't force you to make bad self-inflicted penalties, right? These are all things that come from discipline and the consistency of playing together, right? So like I like to always go back to year one with KOC where we won 13 games, and a lot of those games we had to fight our way back because at the very start of the game we were shooting ourselves in the foot, putting ourselves into second and long, third and long situations based off of bad penalties, false starts, things of that nature. And that's just a thing of uh team being ready and growing pains, you know what I mean? Like, so we have a lot of new on the offensive line, right? So one of my biggest things is like when there's a lot of new, there's going to be a lot of mistakes and a lot of growing pains that come along with it, right? So I wasn't blind to the fact that our basically our pillars at on the O line are our left tackle and our right tackle. So there we can be confident in what they can do and how efficient they're going to be. But that interior line is going to be still building that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that consistency, and that continuity that we saw from like the Lions or like the some of the best O lines that we've seen in history, right? Like the reason they're able to perform in that level is because of their ability to understand what everybody's doing and trust that everybody's going to do it. And as a result, great things happen, right? It seems like when we see O lines play like that, it's like they have eyes on the back of their head or they have like spider senses, right? And they just know, oh, I need to be here because I'm seeing this breakdown and I know my center is going to do this. So I need to cover this hole because I know there's going to be a hole there, and they just do it, right? Just out of intuition, out of just consistently playing together and knowing each other's strengths and how they're going to play before they even play it. So um discipline and that's going to come with time, and I'm not worried because from year one till now we have consistently as a team we have eliminated a lot of those penalties. I anticipated they would go up a little bit this year, especially at the start of the season, but they have been it is something to be expected, and it's something that I'm hoping that throughout the season goes, we're definitely get a hold of ourselves, and that discipline really becomes one of our strengths. Now, um, now I've been harping a lot about how awesome it was to see um, our backup players come in and do such a great job, but still when starters come back or they leave, there's adjustment time, and if injuries piles up, depth becomes an issue, right? As deep as we are on many areas, i'm not I'm not ignorant to the fact that things can just go tremendously wrong going forward week to week to week, and the injuries can start piling up. Let's look at the San Francisco 49ers as evidence, right? They are consistently getting injury after injury. I really hope that Joey Bosa has a speedy recovery and that he doesn't lose a step. And I hope that he comes back next year with a lot of fire and that same passion and ability to play that he has before, because he is an incredible player and he brings fans he puts fans in the seats, and he's a type of player that young people, people that have never watched football, they watch some highlights and they're just in awe at his ability, his skill set. And, you know, hopefully he comes back, but and doesn't lose a step. But with that being said, I'm not ignorant to the fact that that is a possibility that could happen for us if we keep having bad luck with the injury bug. So, as well as our backups played, it's still something to keep in mind. So, I'm hoping that, um, knock on wood, we have a lot of luck going forward against the injury bug. And I'm hoping that our training staff and are doing a great job with their post game recovery, making sure they're doing all their stretches and their ligament work and all these things because coming having 10 years experience as a personal trainer, I totally understand the value of stretching and really working on healing your body outside of your actual training regimen because not only can it affect your effectiveness to be to play at a high level, it also opens you up to injury. If you don't do a good job of stretching or releasing all these tight muscles, it just builds and builds and builds. And that's the situation where, really tight muscles or sore muscles or overworked muscles tend to give out, right? I've seen some of the nastiest injuries in the gym, and it sucks to see, and I really don't want to see any player really get injured. Let's be real. I hate to see players get injured. It is my least favorite part of professional sports because as soon as somebody goes down, and if it's like a career defining or career ending injury, immediately I think of like, man, this kid woke up one moment in like sixth grade and said to himself, I'm going to be a professional football player, and dedicated their entire life. They spent day after day, week after week for years grinding and developing and getting themselves to a point where they could even have a chance. And then they make a team and then it just falls apart. And just all that hard work. And then I think about the family members watching, and it just hurts knowing that their family is suffering. So I totally hate injuries, and I never celebrate them. I always look away, to be honest. I'm squirmish that way, and I'm soft, I guess, but I just don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing my fellow man hurt or agonize, even if they are opposing franchises fan base. All the trash talking and all the um trolling and everything aside, like I still respect every single fan, and I still love every single one of you guys regardless. It's all in good fun, and at the very end, all I have is love for every single one of you because um you guys are essentially, we're all the same. We're all fans of this game, and we're no different. And I'm not gonna act holier than anybody else and act like this trash talking means anything more than just fun banter back and forth. So know that if you guys are fans of other teams and you see me talking trash, it's all in good fun, and I don't mean anything serious about it. Like it's just joshing and trying to get under your skin because that's what we do as fans. We try to just razz each other up and push our buttons. So know that going forward, that I do love every single one of you guys, and I really don't want to see injuries. But I am aware that the injury bug is a thing, so I'm hoping that we're able to stay the course and have good luck, and hopefully um, we're able to get back on pace and survive this injury bug that we're dealing with right now. And then the And then the last thing that I put down, and it's more because I kept hearing things on the broadcast, because I think the NFL app or like streaming service that I have up here in Canada, I think the stream that came was actually a Bengals. I think it was from like the Bengals region or something like that. It wasn't like, because it definitely wasn't Paul Allen or the voice of the Vikings, or because they seem to constantly bring up the fact that, oh, JJ's in the wing, and what's this mean if Carson Wentz keeps playing, right? So I, I will give credit where credit is due. Carson Wentz stepped in and had a great game and showed us what a veteran quarterback can do and be in this system, which gives me a lot of hope to know that once JJ develops into that, we're going to be banging on all cylinders. But the long-term answer is not Carson Wentz. I am going to echo the same thing that some of the legendary coaches in the history of football have said. A quarterback carousel is never a good option. And that's why we have the saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. And it's a very true statement. I like to bring back to this quote that Steve Young said that during his tenure in Tampa Bay, that quarterback carousel almost broke his confidence. And if it had, would we even know his name? Would the 49ers have the legacy that they have? And it kind of goes to show that um, regardless of our intuitions or our desire to win now, it's more important that we really take the time to continue down the process that we've set ourselves upon, right? We've been rebuilding this roster, getting ourselves prepared to a point where we could draft a lottery quarterback, and we did. And we've held our resolve. We let Sam Darnold walk, knowing that the right course of action was to transition into JJ, let him develop, and see what we can do when he's on a rookie scale contract. Okay. Just like I said last year, why would we wait? Like, why would we get to like literally the last moment before we go and draft a lottery pick quarterback to just, you know, cowered out or chicken out and sign Sam Darnold and kind of stay in this perpetual thing of like never really progressing, right? We had sacrificed so much to get us to that point. So it's illogical. It was illogical to bring back Sam. And in that, with that same voice, I say it's illogical to move away from JJ McCarthy because, like I said yesterday, I don't care if JJ McCarthy starts and doesn't win a single game for the rest of the season. All the experiences that he has to go through, and every loss and every interception and every sack that he takes and every bad decision that he makes and every bad pre-snap read and post-snap decision making and everything on top of acclimating to the NFL speed and being able to process and react at that time, all those things are far more valuable than trying to shoehorn ourselves into a very unlikely Super Bowl win, right? So like I said, I don't want to kick the can down the road and be sitting here next year going through the exact same thing. Oh, should we start whoever our backup is then or JJ? Should we, and just be going back and forth until at the very end of the year, we're nowhere further than we are now. And then have to be like, well, do we trade JJ to someone else and just bring in a veteran quarterback to kind of, salvage the rest of this tenure that we have with the roster that we had before we start losing a lot of these pieces, because that would be a step backwards from all the hard work that we've put ourselves to up until now. So, like I said, the long-term quarterback situation is definitely something to be uh, looked at, or things, areas that need to be kept an eye on or improved. And like I said, regardless, I don't care if JJ comes back and throws 5 interceptions every single game, takes 10 sacks every single game. I do not care. I would rather have him be thrown into the deep end and have him sink or float than wait until next year and then go through the same thing and then have a mediocre playoff run this year and have another mediocre playoff run and make it seem like we're only going backwards, and make it feel like we're further than we ever have been to a Super Bowl. Unlike right now, where I feel like we're the closest that we ever have in modern time, right? So that's my 2 cents on the quarterback situation that we got going on. And those are the things that I was able to pick apart or kind of gather or kind of take from this blowout victory. Now, what to carry forward? Like, I still think we need to lean heavily on Jordan Mason, but like I said, KOC, he sees things, and he has ways of doing things that I'll never understand, and I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it's I really couldn't even start to speculate, honestly, like, to be totally truthful. But in KOC, I trust, and I'm hoping that as the season progresses and we see JJ's development, he proves me right. And I have a strong feeling that we're going to be a lot happier than upset with how we finish the season than how we're doing week to week. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today on this Purple and Gold Bars Live, talking about breaking down the Bengals versus Vikings week, going over the things that we did well, as well as the things that we need to keep an eye on or might need improvement on. I really appreciate the time that you give me. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I will be going live daily. I'm trying to transition and try to get more uploads. I'm trying to, cut out sections of these lives so that for those of you who can't make it and can just get the best parts of it condensed, because I know sometimes I ramble and sometimes we kind of go off into tangents that aren't specific to the topic at hand. So I'll definitely do my best to kind of get better at doing that going forward. So thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Purple and Golds Bar channel. I am blessed and grateful to have you be joining me and to be um a partner in this fandom of the NFL that we have. So for those Vikings fans, Skol, and for the rest of you, I hope you guys have a great day. All of you, I hope you guys are blessed and have a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see you guys on the next live. Take care, guys.